Hey, it's Monday night and welcome. Had about, 16 to 19 inches of snow in some of the parts of the valley here last night. It's been a cold night. I hope you're all staying healthy and warm and having a good season. I wanted to talk, we're going to digress from what I was planning on doing tonight. I want to talk more about health. And if you know people that are struggling with their health, I want to share some techniques that I developed that have worked very effectively based upon research. And before we do that, so I'm going to go through and at the very end, I'll do a little routine that you're welcome to join me in as much as you're comfortable. And it won't be very long. It's designed to improve the efficiency of the immune system and its function, and so that we're stronger and healthier. In lieu of everything that we're being exposed to today, we've got over 20 million people we're told that have influenza, thousands of deaths, and we've got the other coronavirus, and I've been reading about that. And it's so important today, so important that we have a good functioning immune system. And we want to talk a little bit about that. But first, we're going to read some customer reviews, and I'm going to answer some questions that many of you have had. And if you have questions, we have somebody monitoring our program right now, so feel free to ask your questions. And can everybody hear us all right? We went with another mic, and if you can give us a thumbs up so I know that we're coming through loud and clear, that would be great. And Carrie and Christine, if you can tell me if that is good. All right. Okay.
Yeah, but we're good.
All right. Thank you. All right. This is a picture of Nellie. I just want to tell you a little bit about this story. This, I think I've shared with you about the 94-year-old who was featured in the front cover of Section E of the Seattle Times newspaper, and who wrote me a letter saying it changed her life. And then we had our 91-year-old and a 92-year-old, and people feeling healthy and having a good quality of life and they claim, from Cellercise. Well, this is Nellie, and Nellie, they've got 4 generations of members in their family Cellercising. And when I got this about Nellie, she was jogging. We've got a picture of her doing jumping jacks. I don't recommend that on a Cellerciser, but she's running and jumping. And in the letter it says, "Here are pictures that I took of my grandmother on your Cellerciser. She will be 95 on April 4th. She started bouncing around last June. Although she still needs her glasses after several eye operations, she has had improved eyesight, better skin tone, and overall increased vitality from using her Cellerciser. She uses it once to twice a day for at least 10 minutes each time and really loves it. Thanks for all you do." And I share that because we all know people today, most of us do, who are struggling and who may not be enjoying the quality of health that we know that Cellercise can help encourage or promote. Thank you. All right. Okay, we get questions from time to time, and I've had several this week regarding pregnancy. In fact, I had one a little bit earlier today. And somebody was asking, well, can you Cellercise if you're pregnant? And obviously I can't answer that question. I say consult with your doctor because I don't know your medical condition. But with most women, if they've been active prior to Cellercise and it's been fine, then they're going to find that they can Cellercise. Obviously, we don't want to jump real high or do crazy things on it, but Cellercise is very gentle. There are specific movements you can do on it that help to relieve pressure, that also increases circulation. Gentle rocking side to side is very soothing. Gentle moving up and down, lifting the heels up and down. A gentle twist, little movement, can help to improve amniotic fluid, circulation, oxygen, blood flow, and that can be very healthful. It's been common for women who have Cellercised during their pregnancy to have very short deliveries. It's not unusual. My wife, 10-minute delivery, I mean, we didn't really even need to go to the hospital, but we've gotten that several times, and people have remembered me sharing that. So if you know somebody who wants to know a gentle, easy, effective form of exercise, there are many different approaches we can take with the Cellercise, but I wanted to share this with you. I mentioned I would drop you a note concerning my daughter's experience with the Cellerciser. I have become such a strong believer in the benefits of Cellercising that some time ago I decided to begin giving a Cellerciser as a wedding gift to my nephews and nieces as they got married. My own daughter Stephanie, whose wedding 3 years ago preceded my change in wedding gift policy, received hers as a Christmas present. 18 months later, she and her husband Scott became the parents of my first grandchild, Madison. Throughout the pregnancy, Steph Cellercised regularly. It came as no surprise to me then that when the blessed moment arrived, it came in a hurry. If you weren't already in the hospital when she arrived at 11:58 a.m., confirmed by Scott's parking garage receipt, you certainly weren't going to be witness to the joy of Maddie's arrival 13 minutes later. Although I'm sure that the labor of childbirth is a prototypical and exquisite labor of love, I still figure 13 minutes is about right, certainly for my daughter. I've heard over the years about an awful lot of 8 or 15 or even 24-hour labors that made me mighty glad I'm a guy. I could never do that. And I suspect that a lot of other young mothers, if they thought they could influence it, would opt for the short course labor too. It's awfully difficult to assign exclusive credit to the Cellerciser for this most welcome pregnancy outcome because Steph, a physical therapist, took good care of herself generally. However, it is easy to see how she and the baby prepared together, literally, for their special moment by toning their every muscle, every cell in harmony throughout the pregnancy. And as I say, I'm just happy for the outcome, and I'm confident that expectant mothers everywhere can enjoy undreamed of results from their pregnancies if they'll just get it together on the Cellerciser. Kind regards, Harold. Thank you, Harold. Something that, well, you have a question. We'll answer it in the question. Bladder control issues are an issue, and when we Cellercise, it's weight bearing on every single muscle in the body over 100 times a minute, and that includes the sphincter muscle that controls bladder control. So when we're on a Cellerciser and we tighten, that's an isometric, the Kegel method, you tighten and hold it and that muscle starts to get more toned. Well, Cellercise is weight bearing. It is an increase of weight to help build up the muscle. And so we've had a number of people with incredible benefits Cellercising where they would tighten and then bounce. And that causes a weight bearing activity which over time can strengthen that sphincter muscle. And we've seen that. So this is one. It says, this is from Gloria, and she says, after a little over 1 week of the Cellerciser, I have a lot of good things to say about it. First, I started out slowly because I felt like I was using a lot of different muscles that I don't get in my regular exercise program, and I was experiencing a loss of urinary control. After only 3 days, I was able to Cellercise for 10 minutes with urinary control at short jumping, no high jumping. And after 1 week, I was able to Cellercise fast, hard, and high with full urinary control. I can go for longer periods of time without having to find a bathroom, and I no longer lose urinary control when I sneeze. It is totally amazing to me that something like this can work so quickly. And I also noticed that my digestion has improved even more. For years, I've had digestion problems. I have found several things that have helped improve my digestion immensely. However, I found the Cellerciser to positively improve the digestive system with fast results. My husband packs, loads, and unloads households and offices for a living. He does not like to exercise. After receiving the Cellerciser and setting it up, he tried it for only 3 minutes just before bed. He woke up the next day and found that he had a more restful sleep. So he tried it again and again just before bed and found it absolutely gives him a better night's sleep and he feels more refreshed in the morning, and only Cellercising for 3 minutes. After seeing these benefits, he now uses the Cellerciser more regularly for a longer time and feels physically and mentally better. And remember, when children are stressed, we often see a parent take a baby and just a few minutes of gentle movement up and down, and the baby relaxes. This is the same principle. Okay, I'm going to read this one again. Just wanted to take a minute to let you know I love this app. Just talking about our Mr. Rebounder app. I just downloaded it and used it for the first time. I've had a Cellerciser for years and haven't ever found something this great that I wanted to stick with regarding rebound instruction. I love the piece of it with no one talking and how you set it up. The simplicity of it is fantastic. I have a yoga app called Yoga Studio that was done similar to this, and I have had for years where you could build your workouts from different positions, and it is also very peaceful. I love that platform. Sometimes I just want peace. I loved walking in the woods when I was a kid for the exact same reason. So nice that you did this app like this. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your passion for the product. You make a difference. Keep up the great work. Many blessings, Hope. Thank you, Hope. That was worth rereading. And I wanted to share Jenny, I tell you, I hope I have permission to share this. She is awesome. I mean,
Jenny's amazing.
Yeah, she is amazing for a lot of reasons. Jenny says, I lifted weights for years and never saw results like these in my muscle tone. I saw it said in this group to trust the Cellerciser process. And that's exactly what I did. And that's what I'll continue to do because I see my body getting stronger every day before my eyes. My goal isn't weight loss, and I'm not dieting, following any particular diet. My only goal is to have fun, feel good, be happy, and to get strong. That's it. And she looks great. She really does. And remember, with Cellercise, people say, well, how do I work all the different muscle groups and areas of the body? Cellercise is totally different from weightlifting or typical exercise. Typical exercise targets all these different muscle groups. Cellercise targets the entire body. That's every muscle, all at the same time collectively. Okay, we've got some more, but let's go ahead and answer some questions. We'll save some of these other ones for another time. Thanks, Carrie. All right, Christine, what do we have?
They tend to be skipping, it says, but I'm wondering if it's our Wi-Fi and the crazy weather that we're having. It's not the sound. I don't think it's the sound. I think it's the videos.
Oh, okay.
It's a Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah, we've had, as I mentioned, we've had some pretty strange weather here, but
a lot of cold, yucky weather.
Yeah.
Okay. Any advice on how to create a workout that is balanced, meaning that I make sure I get in all the major muscle groups? And there are several asking for that.
All right. This is real important to understand. I get every single muscle group every single time, and I'm doing it over 100 times a minute for 10 solid minutes. There's not a single muscle in my body that I'm not working every time I Cellercise. And that's because if you do weightlifting, you take the weight and you lift it away from gravity. It is limited to the muscle doing the lifting. So if I did 100 repetitions with 20 or 30% more weight on this arm 100 times a minute and I did it for 10 solid minutes, okay, great exercise for that arm. Now I got to do this one and all the other body parts. Most of us don't have time for that. Cellercise is weight bearing. Your body doesn't have a choice. As you move up and down on a Cellerciser, you create G-forces, not a jarring effect. Jarring is different. Jarring can be damaging. It's not too soft. It has resistance. That's what makes the Cellerciser so effective. But as you create resistance, it is weight to the body. The cells don't know the difference between acceleration, deceleration, and gravity. We learned that through Dr. Albert Einstein in his theory of special relativity. So we create this weight-bearing exercise over and over on the cell membrane. The cell has to respond, and it does by fortifying its membrane with more protein because it doesn't want to rupture. It doesn't care where the weight comes from. Cellercise is weight-bearing on every muscle, bone, connective tissue, ligament, tendon, skin, collagen, protein fibers. I ask people sometimes, how do you get a skin cell to do a push-up? Well, you have to put it under weight. How do you do that? Use Cellercise. It's weight-bearing. The body becomes more resistant. Internal organs, as we move up and down, they're moving up and down also. And the connective tissue surrounding them, because it's weight-bearing, firms up. That's one of the reasons boxers do a lot of jump roping. It's weight-bearing, causing the connective tissue surrounding the brain to firm up. Well, Cellercise does the same thing. We have numerous people who used to talk about how they couldn't go on roller coasters anymore after they'd lived a horizontal existence day after day for several years, gravity pulling down, internal organs beginning to drop, and all of a sudden they start Cellercising, and so the internal organs and connective tissue surrounding the brain and other parts of the body become firmer, and the entire body starts to lift, tighten, and tone from the inside out. And now all of a sudden they're doing roller coasters again, and they're having fun, and they're enjoying a quality of life that they thought they'd had to give up. So Cellercise is, again, it's fun, it's efficient, it does every muscle of the body collectively as a whole, not as parts, And we can focus on different areas or muscle groups by altering the angle of our body in different positions to create leverage. So if we're wanting to really flatten or work the stomach, we can jog and, tilt backwards a little bit. So just by tilting backwards, I cause all these muscles to tense up. If you want to create more leverage, then you can just kick your legs out in front of you. And as I kick my legs out, I'm leveraging a lot more weight here. If you want to do the lower back and the buttocks, same thing. You've seen the movements. We've got over 20 different movements in our Mr. Rebounder app, and I share a lot of those on the DVD. So I hope that answers the question. Cellercise, I tell people, don't work out, play in. There's a reason for that. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy it. Let's watch television. Let's be with the family and the kids. Let's turn on some music. Play on it. It works on you.
All right. Okay. Do you have any exercises for those who do not have the balance to do the side-to-side kick, for example? They can bounce but cannot do the more balancing requiring exercises like front stomach kick, whippy ski patrol, and back kick. And then she goes on to reference that she's had balance issues from a car crash years ago.
Okay.
And wants to tone up some.
We have had so many people with balance issues, excuse me, and even those who've had strokes and those who've been in accidents. Wonderful stories about how their balance improved dramatically again when they began Cellercising. I'm not here to make a medical claim. I am here to say that we're not born with balance. It's a physiological function, period. We get it by challenging the balance mechanism. We know through rehab programs and from my having worked with rehab practitioners that movement up and down challenges our vestibular balance. It challenges the proprioceptors. It challenges our nervous system and brain activity. And we know that we can retrain the brain just like we did when children are very young and they don't have balance and they have to train the brain and the proprioceptors and the nervous system, balance, rhythm, timing, dexterity, hand-eye coordination. So we start off just gently bouncing up and down. If we live a horizontal existence all day long, we're not getting much movement up and down. We're not moving as much fluid past the stirrup. That's our smallest bone of our ear representing our vestibular balance. And if we're not getting enough of that movement, then we begin to lose our balance. And it's not as much age related as it is what kind of activities we're doing. And as we're challenging our balance mechanism, our balance starts to improve more, and we start to enjoy it and do more in our day-to-day activities in life than we had been before, because we're feeling better and we're performing better, and that's what Cellercise can do. So this gentle moving up and down for balance. If we want to work, if we're not capable or strong enough to do the necklace on to leverage the weight here, then we could do things like this. And this movement works the muscles as well. And so as we're working these muscles up and down, that's a very simple movement or routine, but we're still creating some weight. And you can actually feel it as you rock side to side by taking your hands, putting them around your waist. Feel those muscles working just by doing this. Yeah, this offers more leverage, no question. And you can feel that as well. Well, this isn't too bad either. The gentle twisting is also going to be using all these muscles around the waist. If you want to work on, again, the stomach muscles, and you're not comfortable kicking out in front, well, then just do the jog and slightly tilt. And all these muscles are working. Are they hearing okay? They're all right. Okay, good. I hope that answers the question. Yes?
Maybe if they're struggling with the balance of those things, make sure they have a balance bar.
Thank you, Christine. Yes, the balance bar. I'm glad you brought that up. The balance bar, people say, oh, I don't need a balance bar. I've got balance. And that's my fault if I haven't explained it enough. The balance bar is a balance bar when people begin and they are working and developing their balance. But once they've developed their balance, it then moves from a balance bar to a performance bar. You can do more with the bar and create more leverage and get more intense results having something to hold on to than you can when you don't. For example, if I'm working on the stomach muscles and I've got this EMF thing I'm going to take off. All right, so if I'm doing this here, if I have a bar, I can drop back further, and that's offering a lot more resistance here. I wouldn't feel comfortable leaning that far back if I didn't have the balance bar. If I'm working on the lower back and the buttocks, if I have the bar to hold on to, I can lean forward a lot more than I would if I didn't have the bar. And when you lean forward more, alter the angle of your body, you create more leverage. Those muscles are working harder. And one of the great advantages of Cellercise for any athletic performance is that you can become stronger in an altered position than the average person you're up and working against, because they're never going to be exercising in an altered position. Think about that for a few moments. It's very powerful. If you want to do the Jamba run, love the Jamba run's great. We all know that. We have a love-hate relationship with it. But we keep our back straight and our feet flat. We're running in place. As we get toward the end of our routine, it's nice to have the bar because I can sit back just a little further, which puts more weight on the thighs, which creates more of a burn and gives us faster results. So again, the balance bar is a performance bar once you've reached a certain level.
Do you want to take just a moment kind of going in on that with the performance bar? People are often asking where our feet are supposed to be. Do they come off the mat? So maybe show just some of the typical ones and the proper placement of our feet really quick, if you have a minute.
Well, sure. And again, it depends on what you're doing. Just for some people, as a balance bar, just holding on to it and doing the twist is going to be easier as they're challenging their balance. As it becomes a performance bar, then we jump up and kick out. So it's like this. You know, we don't jump while we're still standing on the mat. We jump up and out, side to side. And we have plenty of clearance that way. If we're working the lower back, we can kick down, just like that. If we're working the front, I pull my toes up. I don't point them because you don't want to hit underneath there, but just like that. And
how about the Jamba run? People are always asking, do my feet never leave the mat?
Okay, well, yeah, if you put a camera underneath my feet, they might come up like this, but the work is being done in the spring. That's where we're really working. Coming up high it's just not as intense. When you're close and you're going really, really fast, that's more intense than if you're lifting your feet up high. Some people say, hey, can you jump high on a Cellerciser? I say, well, yeah, you can, but why? You're just floating. The work is coming when the cells are expanding and contracting and working close to the springs. That's where the valves are opening and shutting quickly. The cells are expanding and contracting quickly. When you jump high, you're just floating. Nothing wrong with it. Floating's fun. But it's better to do that on a big trampoline because then you can float and do tricks. The Cellerciser is for exercise purposes. And that's what we're getting when we're staying close to the mat. So, with that in mind, yeah, I keep my back straight, feet flat, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, they're coming up a little bit, but very, very little. So I hope that helps. And frankly, you can do it without lifting your feet up. They don't have to come up off the mat. So either one of them, those are going to be very intense.
Okay. How should we break up our routine in a day? If we also do heavy weightlifting with Cellercising, is it before or after lifting that we bounce?
Oh, before, during, and after, if you want the best results. Before, because as you know, that strength and balance test, and if you've tried it on your friends and those who have not Cellercised, it's a real strength and balance test. It treats the entire body collectively as a whole. And when you're stronger, you're going to lift better. So I've worked with football players. I worked with a college up in it's called Brigham Young University. I don't know if you've heard of it, BYU. But I went into their football team, and I worked with them. And some of them were maxing out. Some of them had been injured, and they were able to lift again. Well, your body's in a different state. We know that after we've been on a Cellerciser for a few minutes. So they did a study, Dr. Larry Getman, PhD at the National Aerobics Institute in Seattle, Washington, years ago, where they showed that if you incorporated 30 seconds of rebounding between a circuit weight training program, in other words, you did your circuit training on one machine, and then you did 30 seconds of Cellercising, and then you went to the next routine. First of all, you're getting rid of the lactic acid very quickly through the movement up and down. You're increasing oxygen blood flow. You're helping restore homeostasis or balance to the entire body collectively, not just parts. And then you're ready to lift weight on the next set, which was considerably more. Not a huge difference, but enough of a difference that in their research, they showed that people who did incorporate Cellercise within a weight training program grew in their results up to 26% faster. That's huge. So Wade Lightheart, a good friend and colleague who's out there really making a difference in the quality of life and health in so many people. I've had a chance to work a little bit with him. He took it to heart when I introduced him to Cellercise. And he incorporated Cellercise. He was a bodybuilder. He incorporated Cellercise into his bodybuilding routine, and told me, he said, I didn't have the downtime, I didn't have the soreness. He said, I only had a few weeks to prepare, and he won. He won like 3 national championships, and gave me a beautiful testimony on what Cellercise can do. Now you can do that, and for those, that's a sport. Nothing wrong. It's more of a sport for those who have time to do it. If you don't have time to do it, then all I do is Cellercise, and I don't have the physique that Wade has, but I'm still enjoying a really great quality of life, and I haven't slowed down. So, good.
All right. So we had a gal come on, and she's talking about she's on a med that one of the side effects that's known is osteoporosis. Mm-hmm. And so she's taking other things that are going to hopefully help combat that. But the ultimate question comes in and says, will using the Cellerciser provide sufficient weight-bearing exercise to replace the walking?
Yeah, Cellercise, it is weight-bearing. It's G-forces, but it is also weight-bearing. It's not a typical rebounder that's too soft or that uses... It creates resistance. I don't want to put any other units down, but Cellercise has resistance. We need resistance to cause osteoblastic activity to occur so that the bones will utilize the minerals to strengthen the bone density. And we've got some wonderful customer reviews. They should be on our website with people who have gone from osteoporosis to osteopenia. Medications can help prevent bone loss, but it can also cause more brittle bones. So if there's any way that we can do it through diet and weight-bearing activities so the body utilizes those minerals more effectively, the body knows how to create, maintain, and heal itself, and if we give it what it needs.
Okay. So you can tell me if you already answered this, but I was doing some things over there, and I apologize.
That's fine.
The pelvic floor exercises.
Yeah.
We've had a lot with that stress incontinence problem.
Yeah.
And bone density exercises. And I know you touched on that with a testimonial.
Let me share another one with regards to the pelvic area, especially for women who've had several children. And that becomes a serious concern. We can sit down on the Cellerciser. And as we sit down, we take the vertical pressure off of our whole pelvic region or area. And by tilting backwards slightly, we don't have that vertical movement. We can support our back with our hands and then start to gently bounce up and down. As we're bouncing up and down, I'm not using my hands to do it, I'm just supporting my back. I'm using these muscles right here in the whole lower abdominal as I'm sitting back to help. This has been great for women who've had their children or who have just had a baby and want to help promote contractions to help restore the figure and to flatten, tighten, and tone the lower abdominals. This movement right here. As you become stronger and your back becomes stronger, then you can take away your hands. It's all being done right here with the stomach muscles. Very gentle but very effective. As you become stronger, and you see me do this, you can lift up one leg and it leverages the weight right there in the lower abdominals, and lift up your other leg, and eventually you become strong enough. You can lift up both legs and bounce a little higher, and I showed several techniques of that on the app as well.
Okay. The last one that we have is, can you Cellercise too much?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially depending on what state you're in. You may have heard me talk about her. She's wonderful, and I was grateful she shared this story with me. But I tell people, when you begin Cellercising, start off easy. Allow the body to adapt. If you have health concerns or health issues, consult with your doctor or have your doctor give me a call. I'm happy to share some of the different approaches that might be more appropriate for you. But Cellercise it's intense. I had a lady who got the Cellerciser and was having a blast. I mean, just jumping up and down, having so much fun. Her first night, her family was watching television, and she was in there just having a blast for about an hour and 20 minutes, her first time. And when you're moving up and down, so is everything else. And so as we move up and down, the cells are expanding and contracting. Fat cells that may have absorbed heavy metals, toxins, poisons, pesticides, herbicides, formaldehydes, whatever the case is. As we're moving up and down, we can start to release those heavy metals and toxins or drugs that people may have been on. And we've got some incredible stories on this. So as we're moving up and down, as these things are being released, we want to drink a lot of water to help flush them out, make it easier for the body to flush out. Well, and that's why we include our user guide, Cellercise.com/user guide, and it gives some recommendations how to begin the first, second, third, and fourth week as we're building up the body. So she's on there, hour and 20 minutes, having a blast. Woke up the next morning, 104 plus degree temperature. They didn't know why. So they rushed her down to the hospital thinking something was wrong. And they ran all these tests on her, couldn't find a thing wrong with her, gave her some antibiotics, sent her home. And she said, I didn't take the antibiotics, I just went to bed. She said, I just went to bed. She says, I woke up the next morning, I don't remember feeling so good. And she told me, she says, nobody's going to tell me that doesn't work. That's called a concentrated detox. So go easy, have fun, and watch how the mitochondria, well, just know that as you're challenging your cells, and Cellercise is challenging every single cell of your body. As the mitochondria increases, your energy level increases. How you feel, how you perform. I can't tell enough. If we go the conventional form of exercise, nothing wrong with it, but it is limited because it treats the body as parts. You do this movement, then you do this movement, then you do this movement, and it's okay. Cellercise doesn't treat the body as parts. It treats the body collectively as a whole. So the whole body can work, because it is literally communicating. You're communicating through the entire body. And when we break up the blood cells so that they can circulate more efficiently, and so the white blood cells can move in and seek out and destroy the viruses and germs and bacteria. In fact, let's talk about that. This is what I wanted to talk about a little bit, was the immune system. Very important to keep us alive and healthy. You know, as I mentioned earlier, we're being exposed to, and will probably continue to be exposed to all kinds of various different pathogens and viruses over the next few years, unfortunately. It is important that, again, we have our immune system operating at the highest level possible. And a way to help move in that direction is what Cellercise can provide us. The lymphatic system is a circulatory system. It works its way throughout your entire body. But it doesn't carry blood. It carries lymphatic fluid or water away from tissue spaces of the body. It basically operates like a vacuum system. These lymphatic tubes begin in the lymphatic terminals located in the toes, the fingertips, and other extremities of the body, kind of like an oak tree with the branches working backwards. Well, the lymph system has a negative pressure, so movement causes suction. It doesn't have a pump. So if we're not moving much, the lymphatic system is not circulating very efficiently. So when I suggest that people get on the Cellerciser in the morning and they start to move up and down, within a few minutes you have millions of one-way valves sucking all throughout the body. And as we create this negative kind of a vacuum within the body through this movement up and down, these one-way valves can help pull circulation between the bones, joints, and tissue spaces of the body. So after a few minutes of Cellercising, we have this lymphatic system really sucking. That's when we want to start doing the different movements. For people that have bone and joint issues, once you've got the fluid moving and the circulation moving, that's when we want to do those movements. But more than that is going on. We learned through Dr. Arthur C. Guyton's book, Medical Physiology, that if you get on a Cellerciser and you run as fast as you can for 1 minute, you can increase the number of active white blood cells in your body by 10 to 15 times. And they'll stay there for up to 1 hour. That's like, as part of my routine in the mornings, that's like giving myself my own natural antibiotic every day. But who's to say you only have to do it once? If I've been exposed to something, or I feel like I'm coming down with something, and I've done that even with this show, I'll get on that Cellerciser and I will run as fast as I can several times during the day so that I can activate my immune system to be more efficient in going after and destroying those foreign invaders. And I've been doing this for years, and it's been wonderful. And I encourage parents, I tell my own children the same thing. You've been exposed to something, and we're all being exposed to something these days. Incorporate the Cellerciser into your own personal health system by running really, really fast. So if you have your Cellerciser, we're going to do that right now. And I've got to turn on unless you want to time me.
I would love to time you.
You want to time me?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Let me turn my little timer on right
Might be better because I'm just getting a blank screen on this anyway.
Okay, we're ready to go.
All right. So we're going to start off just start off with the health bounce. Remember, we want to get the lymphatic system primed. We want to break up the blood cells so they have access to oxygen and nutrients so they can circulate more efficiently, open up capillaries. This is the warm-up. I sincerely believe with all my heart that any athletic performer should begin with Cellercise. It primes the body. The movement up and down makes it easier on the heart, helps increase oxygen blood flow to capillaries, to the brain, to all tissue spaces of the body. Everything is gently being massaged. So I expect as the word gets out and people begin to understand the real benefits behind Cellercise on many different levels, that I could see a football team, I can see a basketball team, I could see tennis players out there before they get on the field, priming their body, creating the balance within the body and the strength that we have seen gives athletes a competitive advantage. Okay, so we've been gently bouncing and warming up for about a minute. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run. as fast as you comfortably can for up to a minute. Now, as you get toward the end of the minute, then you'll go slower, and that's okay. So I'm going to prime my body with a little bit of oxygen, and do this if you're in a clean environment and people aren't sick around you. But I'm going to just breathe, do the oxygen, open up bronchial tubes in the lungs for the count of about 8. So I'm going to go. All right, we're ready. Okay, ready? Okay. So 131. Okay. Breathe and keep cellercising. You don't have to go that fast. You can go a lot slower. But the objective is to stimulate the cardiovascular, pulmonary, and circulatory systems in the body. I keep cellercising while I catch my breath because the moving up and down makes it easier on the heart. So we can get more of an intense benefit without putting as much strain on the body, which helps the body grow stronger faster. So that's, you can do gentle twist. When you get ready to go to sleep, remember you can put your fingertips straight down, relax shoulders, back, and buttocks. Do that until you feel you've got your wind again. And then enjoy a good quality of sleep. So the neat thing about that is you can compete with yourself. You're not competing with anybody else. You see, what can I do in a minute? And you may only do a little bit. You may be more intense the first 15 seconds, but you keep going to the end of the minute. Again, it's an intense technique, but I found that it's been very, very effective. So go ahead and share that with the people that you care about. Keep your immune system strong, healthy. Keep those blood cell membranes strong and healthy. And we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you. Remember, you don't have to work out when you can play in. Thank you.